Good afternoon, boys and girls. It's Miss Escamilla again. Today is Wednesday, so you will be completing the second page of your homework. It's labeled Tuesday, but it really should say Wednesday. So you are completing the 5 problems in your packet, all 5 of the problems, to be ready to check them in class tomorrow, which is Thursday. We are continuing with identifying geometric terms, our vocabulary, and all those geometric figures. And so when you're completing each of these problems, just like yesterday, it's going to be important for you to make sure that you're going back and looking at the vocabulary I provided you to help you solve your problems and to be continuing to get that practice on learning all the different geometric terms we have talked about in class. Okay, so on your very first problem today, the question states or asks which time is represented by an acute angle. Okay, so on all these clocks, I notice they all have angles. Okay, which one of these represents the acute angle? So you want to find the clock that represents the acute angle, and then you want to be able to read the time on that clock and select the correct time of the clock that has the acute angle. Okay, so I would definitely go back and familiarize yourself with the vocabulary, and then in the vocabulary packet, it gives you an example of all the different types of angles. Look at that acute angle, read the description, look at the picture example before you make a decision on this problem. Also remember, when you're telling time, the little hand represents the hour, okay, and the longer hand on each one represents the minutes. Okay, so make sure that you're thinking about that when you're looking for the correct time. Okay, on the second problem, you are going to use this figure to complete 7 and 8, both of them. In question number 7, it says which does not appear to be a true statement about the figure. So you're looking for a statement that is not true about this figure. And I notice when I look at the questions, it's talking about parallel lines, intersecting lines, perpendicular lines. And so you're going to need to know what parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular lines look like. So make sure that you go back to your vocabulary packet. You go back to the vocabulary, and in your packet on that last page, it tells you and shows you what intersecting, parallel, and perpendicular lines look like. Read the descriptions, look at the picture examples, and before you make your choice. Okay. On number 8, it's asking you, it says some letters on the figure are used to label points, while other letters are used to label lines. Which letter represents points? So we want to, when I look at this figure, I see a lot of letters, lots of letters. Some of them represent points, some of them represent lines. Okay, so you want to tell me, out of all these letters, which ones are the ones that represent points. Okay, so you got to know what a point looks like. So when you go back to your vocabulary, okay, it talks about a point right here. Talks about lines, what a line looks like right here. So you'll need to know the difference between a point and a line to see which one of these letters actually name points, okay, rather than lines. Okay, on number 9, it says 2 groups of triangles are shown below, Group A and Group B. Which of the following is true? So you'll have to read through each one of these statements, okay? And I notice that it says acute triangles, obtuse triangles, right triangles. So we need to know about triangles. So that's, again, in your vocabulary packet on that last page, it shows you the 3 different types of triangles. Make sure you're familiar with each type of triangle before you attempt to answer this problem. Because in this problem, you're going to have to decide which statement is true about these groups of triangles. So make sure you know what acute triangles look like, what obtuse triangles look like, and what right triangles look like. And then in order to determine what type of triangle it is, you need to know what kind of angles they have in them. So then you also really, truly need to also know your angles. Right angles, straight angles, acute angles, and obtuse angles. So you need to know your angles before you can classify your triangles. Okay? And then on number 10, says which statement is true about the figure. So you have this figure, and I notice that I'm seeing the words obtuse angles, acute angles, right angles, and right angles. So we need to know about the different types of angles. So that, again, that's when you would go to your vocabulary and look at the 4 different types of angles, study them, know their important characteristics, because knowing those characteristics will help you to identify those types of angles in figures. Okay, so only one of these statements is true. So read them very carefully, and then decide which one is true about the angles in this figure. All right, I was very impressed with the homework that y'all did last night. Most of you got almost every question correct, or there were a few of you that maybe just missed one problem, but most of you got everything right. And so I'm really proud of you for that. And so keep up the hard work, and I will see y'all tomorrow.